For those of us who did history, we studied migration and causes of migration, and there was always, of all the different reasons that people had for why they moved, for why they migrated, from, for example, whether you're talking about the Luo migration from Bahr el Ghazal, spread across, or you're talking about the Nilo-Hamites from Abyssinia, spread across. You're talking about the Bantu from the Congo Basin, spread across, part of Africa. Or you're talking about, the Khoi and the San. Those, you're talking about Mufeken. Now this is the history of South Africa. All of those, of course, you'd find there were spirit of adventure. There were those who just, were seeking for expansion. They were looking for land to settle in and looking for good grazing land or hunting land, and but there was always one factor, one key point that always stood out. It was common and it cut across all of this migration, and that was the bandwagon syndrome. The bandwagon is where, as for example, as we talk about this migration, where many of these people migrated not because they had a reason to, but because people were doing something and they just joined the crowd. They wanted to feel and be part of the crowd. They wanted to be part of something, even though they did not know what it was or had a reason for why. And I bring that to help us today because we are increasingly seeing something like this. We are more and more beginning to do things not because we have reasons for doing it, but because we see others are doing it, right? And so the bandwagon syndrome is destroying our lives, is destroying our nations, and affecting our future. Because most of the people who are doing what they do, you ask them why they're doing it, some of them cannot even answer you why. Some of them cannot even tell what they're doing and the meaning it brings. And so just like we if you studied history, you discover that many of the peoples who moved did not have a reason. They were not oppressed, they were not struggling with internal conflict, they were not struggling with, a small piece of land that now could not contain all of them. They did not even have the desire to adventure other territories, or they were not looking for any new place to settle in. They just moved because others were moving. And that's a bad spot to be in. That's not a good way to live our lives. Now, I mentioned this, like I say, today we are increasingly seeing more and more people, young and old, but especially among the young generations, that are getting involved in doing things because others are doing it. And so we see one or two or three people gathered somewhere and they have a reason for doing it, and then before you know it, I am involved. I'm there and I don't know why. I don't have a reason why I should even be there. You'd find a group journeying, for example, to town, let's say to the city center, and others gets to see them. It's like, well, I think something might be going down here. I need to follow, I need to see, I need to witness, I need to experience this. And then they begin moving, right? And in their moving, they have no idea where people are going. They have no idea why these guys are going to the city center, for example, and they have no idea what they're going to do there and how long it's gonna be. But because some people are going somewhere, they join. And so you ask such a person, okay, so where are we going? I think we might be going that direction. Okay, what are we going to do there? What are you going to do there? I am not sure. Why are they not sure? Because they don't know why. They don't have a reason. They're doing it because others are doing it. So I want to encourage us, guys, don't do things just because others are doing it. We need to do things with reasons. We need to do things because we've understood why, because we're able to, because it's going to be meaningful, that there's an impact it's going to bring, and we're completely sold out to doing it. But if your life is moved with the wind, like the Bible says, if we're still tossed this way and that way, then we're in trouble. If we're still double-minded, we're not certain of what we're doing and why we're doing it and when we're doing it, then we're in trouble. And we have people like that. I hope you're not one of those people whose life is lived and run based on what people say, based on what others are doing. And so you see someone doing this and then you try and follow suit. And then after a while, you're trying to be someone else. You're trying to do something else. Bandwagon syndrome is affecting us. This movement where because something is popular, because everyone else is doing it, we want to do it. Because someone, majority have embraced it, now we also want to embrace it. Because majority have accepted it and said it is okay in our circle, then you also want to make it okay. No. Just because majority are doing it does not mean you should do it. Just because people in your circle of influence are doing it does not mean you do it. Just because everyone you know are thinking that way, are behaving that way, does not mean you also think that way and behave that way. Let us stop doing things because others are doing it. Do things because you have a reason, because you've understood, and because you know the outcome, that if it succeeds, if it goes out well the way you're hoping it will, you know what is coming. So if your life is lived out of a bandwagon, if the things you were doing even right now is not because it's something you wanted to do, but because it's something that everyone else is doing and therefore you don't want to be left out, then you're in the wrong place. You need to stop. You need to pause right there, re-examine yourself, re-examine your priorities, and make sure you're doing the right thing. Do the things that matter, do the things that count. Don't be a person who is still double-minded. Don't be a person who is not firm on the ground and therefore you're being swayed this way and that way, and you're being tossed this way and that way. Let us get rid of the bandwagon syndrome, where we do things because others are doing it, where we get involved in things because it is supposedly the most popular thing at the time, because it is the most trending things at the time. Don't move with trend and popularity. Move with purpose and vision and priority. I hope this encourages you and blesses you. And if it does, please share it with your friends. But guys, whatever happens, don't live your life out of a bandwagon effect. Don't live your life because others are living it. Don't do things because others are doing it. Don't do things because it is popular and it is supposedly what is accepted. It might be accepted, but is it right? It might be accepted, but is it good? It might be accepted, but is it beneficial? If it is not, even if it is accepted, then it's not for you. It is better you be the different person, the person who is different, the person whose life and priorities and ways are different from everyone else. Because you have a purpose, because you have a vision, because you have a stand for something bigger, for something better than what everyone else is doing. Blessings, and I'll see you in our next video.